I think Israel's enemies around them don't realize how powerful Israel is. Israel has not even unleashed everything it has. It's trying to be careful. Israel is a nation with a nuclear bomb. But the truth is, when people say Israel's committing acts of genocide, you understand if Israel wanted to do what Harry Truman did, they could blow the Gaza off the face of the earth today. The Jerusalem Post, Hamas commander Haniyeh and Sinwar destroyed us. This is a Gazan saying that these two leaders of Hamas, who live in Qatar and Turkey back and forth, both of whom are billionaires. There was a great piece in the Daily Mail, which now American media has picked up on because I read it on radio. It was not in the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN or MSNBC. The four top leaders of Hamas, four of them, are worth $11 billion. See, they want their people poor. That's how they get rich. Why? Because the UN, the United States, the European Union, others pour a fortune to build up Gaza. But the money either goes into the pockets of these four terrorist potentates or to building their military operation. It never gets to the schools, it never gets to the hospitals, it never gets to the infrastructure. Look at a map and look where Gaza is. It's on the Mediterranean Sea. It could be a beautiful paradise. It could have a bustling economy. But that's not what they're looking for, those four billionaires. It's a caliphate. And whether it is Islamo-Nazis or whether it is Marxists, they're always incredibly rich. Look at Venezuela. Look at Maduro. He's worth $40 billion. His people are starving to death. Look at Cuba, as Bernie Sanders calls it. At the very top of the Marxist operation or the government, worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars while its people starve. This is the nature of Marxism. In any event, Israel wants to complete its job, and Netanyahu announced the other day, thank God, he said, we will be in charge of security in this area. And Biden and Blinken, they think there should be some international effort here. And Blinken goes around talking about this two-state solution. Biden talks about it. Obama talks about it. A two-state solution is Israel's final solution. The hell do they think Gaza was? That was the two-state solution. And as I've said before, what will this second country look like exactly? Where will it be located? They'll have to take another chunk out of Israel, despite the fact you have Arab states surrounding Israel that have enormous land mass. Israel is nothing. It's the size of New Jersey. And with the technologies now, and you saw what happened on October 7th, it is in no position whatsoever to give up another inch. And it shouldn't, because it doesn't get them peace anyway. They're up against terrorists. And so the bottom line is that Israel cannot agree to a two-state solution. What would this other country look like? Who would control it? Who would stop it from being overthrown by Iran or some terrorist operation? Do they get an air force? Can they have missiles? Can they have nuclear missiles? I mean, you understand, how would you control that other country? You couldn't control that other country. And that other country, they talk about living side by side in peace. The hell are you talking about? These are terrorists. Side by side in peace. You know, the Palestinians deserve to live in peace too. Who said they don't? They used to be amassed in Jordan. They kicked them out. What about the Palestinian Authority? Abbas keeps his people poor too in refugee camps. Who's ever heard of refugee camps in your own territory, your own country? Refugee camps. Why? Because Abbas is a zillionaire too. He puts his he runs the Palestinian Authority territories like a mobster. He puts his consigliaries in charge of different parts of the economy. He puts his family members in charge of different parts of the economy. They're all extraordinarily rich, while all these other people are deadly poor. And they use them as fodder, they use them as terrorists, and so forth and so on. And by the way, he's the so-called moderate. He was voted out in Gaza. He was in. Fatah was in 2005. In 2007, Hamas was voted in by the people. They voted him in, Hamas in. And Hamas said, you know, we're not having any more elections. By the way, same with Fatah. They had one election, Abbas won. No more elections. So what exactly would this other country look like? We don't have any control over that, so that's asinine. And yet they keep pushing that even while Israel's under attack. But some people, Palestinians, including living in Gaza, they understand what's going on. Those who speak out are murdered by Hamas. So it's a rare voice that can be heard, and we found one. A Hamas commander blaming 2 of the 4 billionaires says, "You destroyed us," because they did not expect Israel to come down with this kind of hellish wrath on top of Hamas. I think Israel's enemies around them don't realize how powerful Israel is. Israel has not even unleashed everything it has. It's trying to be careful. Israel is a nation with a nuclear bomb, actually over 100 of them. Of course, we never discuss it. Shh, Mark, don't discuss that. But the truth is, when people say Israel's committing acts of genocide, you understand if Israel wanted to do what Harry Truman did, they could blow the Gaza off the face of the earth today. They could blow Tehran off the face of the earth today. They could blow Lebanon off the face of the earth today, but they don't. Their enemies would. They do that to Israel. Okay, here's the article from the Jerusalem Post. A senior Hamas commander told the UK's Daily Mail that Hamas leaders Ismail Haniyeh and Yahya Sinwar had, quote, destroyed the lower levels of the terrorist movement by ordering the October 7 attack, according to a report by the British newspaper on Sunday. The commander, calling himself Abu Muhammad, which is like in America calling yourself, Ernie Grabatsky, told the newspaper in an interview over Telegram that originally the plan was to kidnap a few Israeli soldiers, but the orders were changed at the last minute by Hamas military leaders to conduct the massacre, which ended up taking place on that tragic Saturday morning a month ago, writes the Jerusalem Post. A reason to speak is that we want to raise our voice to the world. My dear, Gaza is under bombardment, he lamented. The problem is because of our leadership. And the commander pointed to the fact that Haniyeh, who's the titular head of Hamas, and other leaders live in splendor abroad while he's sustaining himself on some dates and olive oil, and soon will be sustaining himself on lead and gunpowder. The Israelis are systematically tracking down every commander, everybody they can, who's connected to Hamas and who was connected to these attacks on Israel. And Israel said yesterday that many of these people have fled Gaza to other parts of the Middle East. But I remember Golda Meir, an earlier prime minister. She said, after the Munich Olympic slaughter of the Jewish Olympians there, we will track down every one of them. I don't care how long it takes, even after I die. We will get them. And they got them, every single one of them. It's like the new Jewish state. In the early 60s, they decided that they needed to get Adolf Eichmann, who was hiding in Argentina with other Nazis. And they had a remarkable group that went and captured him and brought him back to Israel and tried him and hanged him. And this is why Netanyahu says things like, when we're victims, we get the world's sympathy. But when, as victims, we decide to defend ourselves and defeat the people who turn us into victims, then the world turns against us. So a Jewish victim is okay. But a Jewish soldier who stands up and fights for his country is not okay.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to levintv.com and subscribe now.